Boy, fresh out the bed, just read Avengers #1 of the new 2018 run, Avengers Earth Mightiest Heroes, and today I'm going to give you the pros, the cons, and a few notes that I took about Avengers #1. Now, spoilers ahead, so if you want to read this comic yourself, you definitely don't want to watch my discussion videos, because my discussion videos are very spoiler heavy, where I essentially just talk about my thoughts on the book from what I read. I'm actually going to put on some background music. We got like the air conditioning going, and it's a weird thing in the background to have. So I'm just going to throw on some no copyright music in a moment. But yeah, before we get started into like the main nitty gritty, okay, here we go. And now we should have the music starting up. So, let me pull my notes up. Pros, the cool things that are covered in this book. So we got prehistoric Avengers, are like the first thing you see. So Earth, 1 million years ago, we get to see the very first Avengers team that I'm aware of. There might be an Avengers team that's even farther back than Earth 1 million years ago, and if so, I just haven't seen them yet, but I do have the Avengers Ultimate Guide. It's actually what this phone is currently being sat on top of, so maybe when I finish reading that, I'll learn about an even earlier Avengers team. But this team has Black Panther, Sorcerer Supreme Agamotto, the very first Sorcerer Supreme, Ghost Rider, who rides a flaming mammoth, Lady Phoenix, who I guess is just like one of the first mutants from like back in the day. Maybe not one of the first, but like a prehistoric mutant. Seems pretty powerful. Has the Phoenix Force within her. And she's in a relationship with Odin, who's their Thor-like character in the prehistoric Avengers. Then you have Starbrand, which we'll get into him a little bit later, but it's Caveman Starbrand. They essentially just made him the Hulk. And then you have Iron Fist, who is a bald, well not bald, she has a ponytail. She's like a ponytailed Asian woman, and she has the Iron Fist. And I thought that was a really cool concept. You go from the cover of the book, which has the spread of like the modern Avengers, and then the first page shows you these prehistoric Avengers. And of course they're like in similar poses and positions to their prehistoric counterparts. And the story that they set up in this has a large connection between this past events going on like 1 million years ago and what's happening in the modern day. One of those history repeats itself kind of stories, which those can be good, most definitely, and I'm enjoying the book so far. Another pro, like another thing I really liked, is that Tony, Steve, and Thor have kind of a meta debate about whether or not they should let new heroes take their place or they should reform the like old school Avengers team. I really like this because of the fact that just in real life there's been a lot of debate about oh, we want like our old heroes back, why are they changing all our old heroes? And then there are people who are like, man, you know, we have all these new heroes and they seem really cool, I'd love to see more things with the new heroes. So to see that debate happen within a comic book itself is very meta, but also very relevant. Like, Tony has a point. There are so many new heroes, and they talk about how, like, Thor doesn't seem worthy anymore. Iron Man's kind of washed up. He just came out of a coma. He's not 100% himself. Cap just stopped being, like, the Hydra Cap. And there are people who still don't fully trust him. So, you know, they're like, we've had our time in the sun. Why necessarily should we, like, come back? And Cap's like, we always gotta come back. Like, no matter what, like, Avengers will assemble. Like, if we are truly needed, kind of thing. So, the prehistoric Avengers from back in the day, they're, like, getting ready to lose a big battle because they're about to fight off a bunch of Celestials that have essentially descended from space to Earth, and the Celestials are just about to fuck up everything. So it's like, how are we going to stop these Celestials is like the big thing that they're talking about. They established that Lady Phoenix and Odin had a thing, which is cool. I like that they established that Agamotto was the first Sorcerer Supreme. That may have already been a thing. Again, I'm not a big Marvel guy, I'm more a DC guy, and since this is a #1, there's me trying to get my feet wet. And I like that he goes by Sorcerer Supreme. You know, he doesn't run around necessarily saying I'm Agamotto. He goes by his title. He's like, I am Sorcerer Supreme, which is cool. Again, Ghost Rider on a flaming mammoth I thought was tight. That was a really cool idea. Seeing the old school Black Panther is cool because he's not like covered from head to toe in like a vibranium suit. A lot of it just is like raw, like caveman kind of style, and I like it. Looks like he wears like a Black Panther pelt over his head, which makes sense. Um, Lady Phoenix is cool. She just looks like caveman Jean Grey. At first, when I saw her, I was like, maybe she's just prehistoric Black Widow or something, and I was like, that's dumb. So I'm glad it was the Phoenix Force. That's cool. And Odin was a nice addition, to be honest. And it looks like Odin has Mjolnir. He has like a hammer thing. Maybe it's just a hammer. I don't know, but I thought that was cool too. Let's see. So let's go into cons, I guess. And then afterwards I'll go into like additional notes and thoughts. Some of my cons about this story. So like I said, the prehistoric Avengers are facing off against the Celestials, and then the modern day Avengers, they're facing off against some beings that were able to like kill a bunch of Celestials. So essentially a bunch of the Celestials have died. Now there's these beings that supposedly killed the Celestials who have now arrived on Earth, and there seems to be an invasion force that's been like in the center of the Earth the whole time kind of thing. And now the invasion force is attacking, and we have to deal with these beings that are more powerful than Celestials. And at the same time, Doctor Strange and Black Panther in the modern day are learning more about their prehistoric counterparts and their possible connections to what's going on currently. If you're not a fan of DC Comics had this event recently called Metal. And Metal had a lot to do with, there's like this prehistoric history that explains why everything is the way it was. Well, sorry, it explains why everything is the way it is. And this prehistoric history also connects us to this big bad that's going to threaten like everything, and we got to stop him. And as we stop him, we're going to learn more about our prehistoric history and how it connects everything together. And I'm like, oh, well, the Avengers book seems like it's just kind of doing the same thing. And it's not necessarily like a bad idea, you know, but I read this and go, this is looking kind of familiar, you know? Like, I feel like I just finished reading a story like this, except this seems to be on a smaller scale. Like, even though, like, they're facing off these beings that kill off Celestials, and Celestials are supposedly so powerful they can snap their fingers and destroy the whole Earth. That's pretty powerful. But it's the other situation, like the Metal one in comparison, was you're learning all these groundbreaking things about like why people have powers in the first place, why Batman's the way he is, why Hawkman's the way he is, why the entire multiverse is the way it is, and the fact that the multiverse itself was threatened, where in this situation it feels like Earth is threatened. It feels very isolated. Well, I don't know. So it seems like similar storyline but lower stakes. I don't know how I vibe with that. Another con I had, and this is very personal, both of these, well, this whole thing is subjective. All of this is like, you know, my feelings on it. Starbrand Hulk is silly. So, I get that it's, Starbrand's powers given to, like, a caveman. And sure, a caveman has, like, limited capacity for what he'd be capable of, right? But this is sad. Come on. So, Starbrand, I was really into the New Universe comics back in the day. But I didn't really get into New Universe when it came to Starbrand. I was a big Nightmask fan. And in case you're not sure what New Universe is, New Universe was started back in the 80s, and it was one of Marvel's first, like, alternate universe titles, where, like, every book under the New Universe banner was, like, outside of the normal Marvel universe. And it's supposed to take place in a world not too unlike our own. And when the comic books came out, was the same day in the comic, like, world. So if it came out, like, May 9th, brand new issue of New Universe, when you open that issue of New Universe, it took place, like, on May 9th, in the same year. It's supposed to be more of a reflection of the real world, and people have more, like, psychic-based abilities and stuff like that. And I really vibed with New Universe. It was a cool concept, and it felt really grounded. So Starbrand was a New Universe character that I didn't really look into that hard. He was more galactic, more like an alien kind of thing, at least judging a book by its cover, because like I said, I didn't really read Starbrand. But apparently, the Starbrand now is like a glyph that you can have on your body. And it grants the bearer of the mark infinite power, only limited by their imagination. Meaning, if you have the Starbrand, you can essentially do whatever you want. And if you go to the official like marvel.com/universe wiki, so this is like the wiki on the Marvel website, it claims that the people who have the Starbrand seem to just get bored of it and just give it to other people. Like, they'll just be like, there's nothing else I can do with it. And they like hand it over to someone else. That's dumb, for one. And two, is this caveman really so dumb that he thinks all he can use the Starbrand for is to just be the Hulk and be mad? And I mean, I get that he's a caveman, but he's sitting next to people like Iron Fist, who seems like really competent. She doesn't seem like she's like, oh, me punch stuff. Like, that's not her character. She's here with like Lady Phoenix, who seems really competent and like well versed. You got like Thor, who's really competent and well versed. Black Panther seems competent. Agamotto seems competent. And potentially with his like Starbrand, Hulk should be able to do whatever he wants. He's not Hulk, he's Starbrand. But he just made himself Hulk. Like, he has the potential to do whatever he wants to do. And he's like, I'm just gonna be strong. So it seems like the Starbrand, rather than going to someone who you could like believe is like worthy, or someone who can really like use the most out of it, went to like a dumb caveman who just uses it for brute strength. It makes sense, the idea that like if he was like a dumb caveman and he doesn't understand anything other than the fact that he has great power, that he could be like, great power meaning great strength, so he's just the Hulk. But it seems like such a waste. And when Odin's like, oh man, I don't think we'll be able to beat all these Celestials, we're just gonna die, this is game over, we're not gonna make it. I'm sitting here like, this is like an all-star cast. I don't know what you're talking about. Phoenix Force is pretty powerful on its own, but with the Starbrand having near infinite power, it's, I don't know, near infinite power, maybe not as powerful as I'm making it, but I don't understand that. But I honestly feel like they should have gotten their own book. The Prehistoric Avengers, even if it was just a mini-series, like, if it was like a 3-issue mini-series, or like a 5 or 7-issue mini-series, and it's just talking about the prehistoric Avengers, maybe year 1 million Avengers, something like that. Not year 1 million, but 1 million years ago Avengers. I would really like to see a title like that. I would read that. Even if it was happening alongside the Avengers book, I would really enjoy that. And if they just had cross parallels between each other. Again, similar to Metal, how Metal had like the individual Batmans from the Dark Multiverse, they all got their own little titles. And then you had the main Metal storyline that was going alongside it. Because I found myself reading the beginning of this Avengers book and going, this Prehistoric Avengers are really cool. And then right as it seems like the Prehistoric Avengers are about to actually do something, it jumps to like the modern day Avengers. And I could see each of these Avengers books, like in this new series, starting with 1 million years ago, and then showing off the Prehistoric Avengers, and then jumping back to the modern day and showing how they connect back and forth. And I like that. But I want more Prehistoric Avengers. They're a good team idea. I like who all's on the team. I feel like it'll be really cool. So I want to see more of it. Also, they mention in the modern day that Ghost Rider, who's going to be on the modern Avengers team, has like had an encounter with the modern day Starbrand. Why is modern day Starbrand not on the Avengers team? We're going to get instead She-Hulk. So She-Hulk is going to be and I think they called her Savage Hulk rather than She-Hulk. So maybe it's a different character. I'm not sure. Like I said, I haven't been a big Marvel guy, so this is me trying to get into Marvel, and it's interesting so far. But instead of getting Starbrand, so that we have the direct parallel between like the prehistoric team having Starbrand and the modern team having Starbrand, and being able to compare and see how they're different, instead we're getting She-Hulk because she more closely resembles the prehistoric caveman Starbrand than like a modern Starbrand would, because modern interpretations of Starbrand are not like strong caveman people. They take more advantage of the infinite power thing to give them like general superpowers. So I would like to see us get Starbrand on the team at some point in the future, or if they want to keep with this, because this isn't a bad thing necessarily, Savage Hulk maybe could get the Starbrand, like for whatever reason, the current person with the Starbrand, like says I'm bored, because apparently that's the thing, and just gives the Starbrand to She-Hulk. That'd be cool. I'd vibe with that. So that would be nice. I want more of the parallels between, like, here's the modern team and here's the prehistoric team, and I want more of the prehistoric team in general. If future issues give me more of the prehistoric team and what they're up to, then I would vibe with it a little bit more, I would say. They're really cool. So another note that I had, Black Panther can survive in the center of the earth uninhibited. So at one point in the issue, Black Panther and Doctor Strange are like traveling down toward the center of the earth, and Doctor Strange straight up says, if I didn't have magic, I would just be like a puddle. Like, how are you not like just screwed? And then he goes, oh wait, I forgot, you're Black Panther. And it's like, I get that the vibranium suit is like really powerful, but he's not even like flinching. It's not a struggle for him to stand up or anything. Black Panther in his suit is just fine under the pressure of like being so close to the center of the earth. And I'm really curious, like, how good of a feat is that? Like, that's a pretty significant feat, the idea that he can withstand all that pressure and it doesn't like overload his suit or kill him or anything. So I thought that was really cool. So modern Starbrand, like I mentioned earlier, fought against Ghost Rider in Africa, apparently, and Marvel Legacy #1. So I'm probably going to read Marvel Legacy #1 now, because I want to see what's been up with modern Starbrand. I know Starbrand and Night Mask was a series that was out for a little bit, that was written by the guy who wrote Witch and Young Justice. So I want to see what he's been up to since then, because that title, I believe, was either canceled or they just didn't make any more. It's really sad that the Young Justice guy keeps making like really good stories and then they just end up getting shut down. But I was excited for Night Mask and Starbrand originally. Then I saw a preview of it and I was like, oh, this preview was really shitty. And then I started reading the actual series. I believe I read all the books they came out with in that one, like for that series, and I really liked it. And I was like, well, I guess they're not making any more of those. Another note that I made while reading it is that Captain Marvel seems to be able to carefully carry a dead Celestial from space to Earth without causing tons of damage to the city. Like, Captain Marvel is holding the weight of this Celestial, which is this massive being, lowering it to the ground next to a city, like by like the shoreline, and is able to like put it on the ground without it releasing like a huge shockwave that just like just annihilates everything. Like, even if Captain Marvel is like standing up and holding the Celestial like this, and then like carefully lowers him to the ground, it's so much sudden weight. You would think that like when it finally did make full contact with the ground, it'd just be like boom, like because it doesn't necessarily have to be that it falls from like a really significant height for it to cause like an impact crater. You know, the impact crater could simply be the ground isn't like structured enough or like able to support that much weight so suddenly. Like, regardless of if it fell from space, if you just put something really heavy on the ground, suddenly you would think it would just be like done. Also, it seems like other Celestials are falling to Earth without Captain Marvel doing that. Like, without her, like, slowly, like, helping it land on the ground. And yet, they're not creating big impact craters. They're, like, destroying the things that they, like, crash into, but not, like, their surrounding area. I don't get that. But regardless, I think that's a pretty solid Captain Marvel feat. Like, that seems like a cool feat for her. So those are my notes, my pros and my cons on Avengers #1, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the newest series from 2018. If you've read that comic, what do you think? What are your thoughts? I'd like to continue this discussion in the comment section below. I wanted to read this last week, but for whatever reason I couldn't find it. So maybe it was just that popular. I don't know. But thank you all for watching. If you like this video, make sure to like this video, favorite, comment, subscribe, and ring that bell to be notified whenever we do these live streams. This is your host, your friend, your boy, Jet Black One Only, logging out. Peace, and thank you again.